Why does the system cause people's degradation and bring them to the matrix? Because there is one effective mechanism: people get attached. If one learns to survive, it means they are already in confrontation with the world, and this is wrong. This is why to learn to live means to learn to be present in what you are doing and find yourself in the simplest things. Such people are not mere human beings. On the outside, they look like humans, but they have reached a much higher level of consciousness, and their awareness has a different nature. Good afternoon, Master. Can you give some practical tips to our audience on how to become aware and how to reach a high level of awareness? You should develop duality. This duality can be expressed by the phrase, "I am not the body." Develop the quality of duality. When something happens to your body, it doesn't happen to you. This entire system, as we call it, all attachments of the mind. Why does the system cause people's degradation and bring them to the matrix? Because there is one effective mechanism: people get attached. People quickly become accustomed to comfort. They don't like to experience uncomfortable states. Why does this happen? Because they identify with their body. Without awareness, human beings reside in a human body, but remain at the level of animals. Because they have certain reactions that occur by themselves. Why am I saying all this? When you train yourself, your previous question was about why we need to train ourselves. Why we did it back in the day, why we trained this way to develop this quality. When you train yourself, you can stay in incredibly uncomfortable conditions and remain absolutely calm. There's nothing to it. In life, everything happens such that a person could develop. It happens so that at the end of the day, people get an opportunity to develop self-awareness. Speaking about paths to God, when one practices yoga, to rise to the sublime, to connect with the Creator, we say that they develop awareness. The path to God is the path of awareness. Because at the end of the day, an aware person becomes self-aware, and this self-awareness is the awareness of yourself being the Creator. Self-realization, which is followed by self-realization within the Creator. And when you develop awareness, here is my advice. Observe yourself and develop duality. I am not the body, nor the mind, because all problems are caused by attachments to the body. It's too hot, it's too cold, I'm hungry, I don't have this, I don't have that. I remember that I felt good there, but here I don't. All of this constantly. And one doesn't actually live. We need to learn to accept things as they are. It doesn't mean that you should condone what's happening. You can stand up against it. You must stand up against it. But first, in doing so, you shouldn't be aggressive, but creative. And second, it shouldn't be your aim. We haven't come here to survive. We are here to create and to live. However, many people are taught to survive. If one learns to survive, it means they are already in confrontation with the world, and this is wrong. Here is what we should ask. How can we arrange our life so as not to survive but live? And how can we make our lives comfortable? First of all, one should develop siddhis. These are powers that enable us to confront the stresses or influences that originate from outside, external influences. That includes emotional influence, mental influence, transmitters, and so on. All this impacts people. One could say, I didn't sleep well last night. Why? It was very hot. It means that this person couldn't relax because they couldn't disidentify with their body. They didn't sleep well because it was too hot, or mosquitoes troubled them, and so on and so forth. These are stumbling blocks for them. And they can't just feed the mosquitoes and sleep peacefully. My advice is to disidentify from your body and mind. And every single moment, observe your reactions, what's happening to your body. Train yourself to remain calm when a mosquito lands on you, or you see a mouse scamper across the floor. We react instinctively to such situations which are stressful. Learn to relax, observe this process. If your arm is aching or itching, don't immediately scratch it, but observe what's happening. You are not the body. It's the body that is itching, but it's you who decides what to do with this body. This is a very meticulous work, but the results speak for themselves. Before you get up, think what you are doing this for. Before eating, think whether you need to have these meals now. Your mind will say, "You haven't eaten for 2 days already, you should eat. I'm hungry." And you can reply, "You are hungry, but I am not you." After all, it's me who decides whether to eat or drink something now. It means you don't live mechanically, because mechanical living drains energy from you. A mechanical thought, or a thought that simply pops up into your head, is a mechanical habit of thinking. Learn not to think. Back in their days, the Roriches used to say, "Read less, reflect more." What does that mean? They had nothing against reading, actually. They wrote an enormous amount of books, good books, but their advice was to reflect more. Because when one reflects, one becomes aware of what luggage they carry and try to analyze and understand its essence, and so on. And the next level is about reflecting less and doing more of what? Realize, observe. Observe, maybe meditate. Essentially, meditation is about being in a void. Some people say, "Okay, you enter a void, and yesterday I was sitting in a void like a bobblehead, and I am not any closer to awareness." Allow your consciousness time to mature. You found yourself in the void of our mind, because human minds are very good at creating illusions of enlightenment. I know many people who have attained enlightenment in their mind. They speak much and do it beautifully. They are much better speakers than I am. They possess a vast store of knowledge. They write thick books and publish them. But they have never experienced what is really to be experienced. They did experience certain things, but they didn't gain the necessary experience. But they are enlightened. To such people I say that there is no such thing as enlightenment, and this is really so. This is a separate topic. This is why I advise everybody to be present in what you are doing, and learn to disidentify your true self from the one who thinks itself to be you. You get it? A distance between the mind and the body. Back in the day, I gained this experience which was very interesting. Now I don't have to wait for it, because I always have it. I'm not the body. You don't say that you're an arm. You say, "My arm, my finger. Ouch, my finger hurts." Because this is your finger, it's a part of you, but it's not you. Well, maybe it's yours, but it's not you. Your head, your hand, but not you. Those who have only just begun to practice should think about it as often as they can, otherwise it will be very difficult for them. Because they just won't have enough energy and strength to stay responsive to every little thing. For example, the way of the samurai. From the moment he became a samurai is his journey towards death. He, in fact, ruins his life and must leave this world with dignity. It's his goal. Actually, it's a folly. My opinion towards this tradition may sound rude, but this really is a folly. Because every single person can die. But to live, to fully live beyond the life that brings us closer to death day by day, is difficult. For example, Porfiry Ivanov taught to live. You see? This is why to learn to live means to learn to be present in what you are doing and find yourself in the simplest things. This is a very important point, and this is what Chan Buddhists do, for example. To develop a high level of awareness, it's not enough for us to be self-aware in our everyday life. It requires a more serious approach and methods, right? Yes, and I call them yoga. But yoga is all-encompassing. It functions on earth as well as on heaven. This is why on earth you are self-aware in your everyday life. And when you have an opportunity to pray and meditate, you ascend to heaven and try to gain self-awareness there. This is a universal approach. In ordinary life, when people say that they don't have time to practice, raise their eyes, meditate, and so on, that they need to travel by underground, for example, well, do you think it's impossible to practice yoga in the underground? When you travel, who does this? Where is your assemblage point? Why don't you think that now you are practicing? You are practicing traveling. You are practicing your life wherever you are. Now that we are sitting here, we can practice. What's practice based on? On you controlling your sensations, listening attentively, being conscious, and trying to grasp it immediately. Right? And you'll grasp it much better if you let your body be a good tool, so you can practice wherever you are. You can practice anywhere without losing time, 24/7, as they tend to say now. In my time, I could do it 36/7. The majority of people think of yoga as a set of special physical exercises to be done in a specially equipped facility or on a mat. But you are talking about another kind of yoga. I'm talking in general about yoga, which is in existence. It's always the same yoga, there is no other. What you mentioned in the beginning is about an attempt to become a yogi. It's the beginning. We can say that this is playing at yoga. Why don't people know anything about yoga? Well, not everybody, but the ones you are talking about. Because they have just approached this practice, and there is much for them to be learned yet. It's a journey. Things will open up to them step by step. In yoga, their awareness will grow. You see? Your awareness in your job has been gradually growing, and now you are an expert in what you do. While I might know nothing about it or know very little, my awareness is 5 centimeters high. This 5 centimeters is a measure of some job, and your awareness may be, if we stack books, the height might reach 1 meter. This is your awareness. It's a metaphor. This is why in yoga, of course, it is necessary to develop awareness. And if people have stepped on this path and gradually gain awareness, they are just in the beginning of their journey. Further on, they will develop. Why do they have an incorrect idea of yoga? Because their opinion is impacted by the system. And again, this has also become very trendy now. On the one hand, this is good. They may at least practice in this way. But on the other hand, thus is diminished the spiritual component of the broadest practice that we call life. Because our yoga is our life. Our life is yoga. Yoga is a journey. Speaking about what yoga really is, we know that the word is translated as reunion or unity. With what? With oneself, as some people say, or asana. Often those who perform certain postures, asanas, don't even know that an asana is a position of the mind. Others state that yoga is about reconnecting with the sublime. When they do their inner work, they don't even pay attention to external aspects. They don't need asanas. Some people say hatha yoga or yoga are about body postures. Yes, postures. But sitting is also yoga. Walking is also yoga. This is why we teach how to walk correctly as part of the 42 Kriyas, and we teach proper awareness while walking correctly, breathing, and so on. Everything that makes part of our life. All this is part of yoga, but for me, yoga is an ability. To take control of prana, the life force, with all the opportunities that it gives, including those for realization. In other words, yoga is an ability to eliminate all the changes that we go through in an ordinary course of life. To eliminate or stop, to take control of. A yogi is the one who is able to control the processes even just a little. And when one dies fast, they stop the aging processes. This is also death, the process of leaving. They control this process. On the other hand, people have different goals and challenges, but this is irrelevant now. That's why yoga can be viewed as a science that enables us to reconnect with God within. Only within and not without. You don't need to go anywhere for this. This is an internal process. However, for me, I'll repeat, for me, yoga is taking control over all the bodily changes in the backdrop of this reconnection, where you become aware of His presence and can control the process. This is a very high level. Such people are not mere human beings. On the outside, they look like humans, but they have reached a much higher level of consciousness, and their awareness has a different nature. Thank you very much, Master.